Welcome to the Hansen Brothers podcast. I'm Timmy and joined by my brother Kevin. We are teammates and world champions in Rallycross. This podcast is our space to catch up while traveling the motorsport world. It's finally race week again. The first round of World Rallycross 2025 is coming up this weekend in Lousada, Portugal. And how excited are we, Kevin?
Oh, super excited. It's finally race week, as you say. And it was such an exciting test last week as well. So like coming into a race week, thank God we both started the week with punctures. We got that out of the way. So we
On
got
the road
both.
car, under the road cars.
Yeah, you got puncture on your road car and we got one here. So it's, got rid of them. They're done for the week now. So now we can get in there, really push that banking corner properly without feeling that we're risking any punctures. But I'm super excited. It's, so many exciting things finally about to commence with the new promoter being there, free to air on YouTube worldwide. It's going to be super fascinating to see how the new broadcast is with that much, capabilities. So I'm just excited to go racing, especially with that good feeling that we have in the car from the last test, and just go out there, get our elbows out, and hopefully the EOT is in our favor.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot going on. Like, if you haven't watched last week's episode, it was really interesting. We were in Portugal when we recorded it. It was just after the EOT test. EOT being balance of performance between internal combustion and electric cars. So they lowered our power, they raised their weight, and so on, just to kind of check what the FIA can do. We're still waiting to hear the final conclusions of what actual power and weight we're going to run. Of course, we're hoping for a light and powerful car on the electric side, but so is the combustion engine side. But there was also drama, and some controversies, some games being played, and that leads us into some questions on the last week's episode I'd like to read. First one is from your local RX guy, and he says, drama between teams already. Volvo stepping up their game even more. Backerud farting in Timmy's car. World Rallycross is so back.
It is back.
I couldn't agree more.
And it's so unbelievable that he got to drive the car that beat him in the 2019 championship. It must have been so weird for Andreas. But like he says, also their Volvo are back. They're really strong. They've been putting a lot of money and time on testing during the winter. To get into this new season, it's like they are pouring everything they got on this. So, and they're being very aggressive with their statements of wanting to win the championship. So, but again, we're in the same boat as them. In some ways, we're in the same team because we're in the electric team. We need to kind of work together to some extent to try and, get the best cars possible for us. So it's for sure a very exciting season. I can't wait to see what the EOT is going to be.
Yeah, but from now on, it's going to be hard. So KMS was the only really fast combustion car there. Pelfren was there also, but he seemed to struggle a little bit on that track. But now, when we come to the race, we will also see Juha Ritskinen and Patrick O'Donovan being in internal combustion cars. So, and those guys are really fast. So there won't be any room anymore for KMS to slow down with their petrol cars. Also, to be said, we don't know if they're going to run petrol or electric. Let's see.
No.
And also, we can't slow down because Niklas is fast. So, I think the games, I hope, are finished. But and now we'll just have to race flat out to even try and beat the other in with the same technology.
It's going to be really fascinating, I think, to have Andreas, who drove all the cars, the KMS cars, Volvo, ours, Pelfren's car, which is very similar then to also to Patrick's car, to see, when he's commentating, he's going to have so much insight in the feeling, what the strengths are of the cars, what the weaknesses are. I think during the broadcast, as he's being the expert commentator for round one, it's going to be very, very great from all the viewers to really listen into what he has to say about the experiences that he had on the test, and also where he thinks, people can make the difference with their cars. And that, I think, is going to be a great feature for all the fans watching.
Yeah, and that perfectly leads us into the next question. The question is from Idangj, something like that. It's tricky to make different platforms perform closely within the same window. Something like the torque sensor that are used in endurance racing wouldn't work here because it's an expensive system, and you surely don't want high costs where the grids are already depleted. But do we need all cars to literally be the same? I don't think so. It's fun to observe which car is better on corners or which car has better acceleration and see how it all plays out during a race, with the advantages potentially canceling each other out. And I think that's spot on. I
For sure.
fully
Yeah, I
agree
think
that
it.
we shouldn't be like identical. We want strengths and weaknesses, and the difficulty is to get the lap times kind of close so that one isn't the second a lap quicker or something, that it evens out. But if it's uneven within the lap but on a full lap is close, that makes for amazing racing, I think.
Yeah, and we're going to see the that's the thing. We're going to see the things move around during the year. Like when we go to Finland, it looks like to be a really long start straight. There might be a little bit more strength on the electric cars there because it's a bit longer straight. But then also, we like in Lousada, there's a lot of corners. There barely any straight. So there's going to be also ups and downs between when there is more power. Like we believe we will have a bit more power still in the electric, going to be some strengths there, but also, depending on what track, it's going to go up and down. There's going to be differences. So, I mean, that balance is never going to be exactly the same. Like when everybody runs on the same regulation, it's going to be some differences for sure, and strength and weaknesses. So it's about to see if the FA can manage that throughout the year on different tracks to get it as fair in the long run as possible. Because it's like for the Le Mans, people tune their car for the Le Mans race, but they don't really care about all the other races. They want to win Le Mans 24 hours, so they sacrifice on some other races. But obviously we can't do that. We need as good as possible during all the year.
Yeah, in rallycross there isn't the Dakar or the Le Mans or like the Tour de France. None of that in our field. The main thing, the main achievement is to be world champion over the whole year. So
Well, don't
we,
you think that the torque sensor would kind of work for us, just to see exactly, because nobody really knows how much power those petrol cars are putting out currently.
I think it would work, but it's expensive, and we're not the World Endurance Championship, and I don't think anybody wants us to become World Endurance Championship. It should be rallycross, it should be hard, it should be raw. But at the moment, we're not as many cars still as we would like. It's 9 cars for Lousada, so we want to kind of lower the threshold as far down as possible, and I think that's why adding more costs with torque sensors and so on, and all the testing and data and all the personnel needed to like police everything. I don't think it's the way forward for rallycross at the moment.
No, no, for sure. I think that might be the case in 2027 when there's hopefully more options out there for different technologies. Then maybe it needs to be easier to manage across the board. But at this stage, like you said, we want to keep it unknown and up and down and uncertain a little bit, because that's the beauty of it. So and like you say, too expensive.
The next question is a little bit of critique for us, but I think it's a very fair
Criticism,
question. It's from Stark246, and he's
right?
asking, why don't you guys go back to ICE cars? No insult. I like the podcast. I love watching you both compete, but you both complain about the electric cars every race. Every race. Why not go back?
It's
Uh,
quite simple. We believe in a fun new technology, but we're not being put to the right equal. But also, it's cost a lot of money to go back to a petrol car. So, I mean, last year if we could during the season and we were allowed to change and we had the money for it, we would have changed because that was the best thing. But hopefully now it's more equal and we don't have to complain as much.
Yeah, and I think you do have a point. Like maybe we complain a lot, but we haven't like we're aiming to win all the time, but we haven't. Last year over the course of the season, it wasn't possible. It's like we were in the Williams and the KMS was the McLarens of this year. And then
Yeah.
we still try and aim to win, and then it turns out into more complaining. So maybe he's right. Maybe we should like talk more about the strengths that we have, like the speed on the straight and the power and so on. But I think it's a fair question, and
Yeah, I
like
think
it,
if the petrol teams had on all the calls that's been with the FIA and all the teams, if people heard the conversations that the petrol teams are having, the electric teams are the ones complaining nothing. It is such big complaints, and there's so much crying your eyes out. So it's ridiculous, really, on those calls. So actually, we are the only ones who share our opinion like this. So I think that's maybe
yeah,
why you get one side. If there was another podcast from petrol teams, I think it would be a little bit also on their side complaints about how much power we have. But if you look in the details and you know the facts, when we were at races last year, it was only 3 seconds a lap that we actually used our advantage of power in most of the tracks, or barely, some races not even at all. So the complaints, I think, are fair for us to have, because everyone, otherwise it wouldn't been such a big thing for this year, the EOT testing, because everyone knows it was unfair last year. So hopefully in about couple of days we'll never have to complain again.
yeah, we will complain. If we don't complain, it's not fair. But I think the thing is that we are trying to be super open and just to speak our mind and share what we're going through with all of you who listen to this podcast and so on. And yeah, part of that is complaining and feeling sorry for ourselves. But maybe we should get better at up talking the strength as well. Let's move on to the next question. Or it's not a question, but it's a bit of a question from Gubil5763. It's weird usernames on YouTube, isn't it? Like nobody really puts an effort into their
No.
username. But loving the let's be honest approach on the podcast. Oh, thank you. Just what we're talking about. Hearing about these games is making me feel like this is a world championship again. Haha, good. Timmy, can you briefly talk about driving Bernd Stubbe's super buggy back in Estering 2019? I tried to clock your lap times based on some fan footage on track. It seemed faster than a supercar. I know they're light and have 400 horsepower, but to be faster than supercars for a third of the price, haha, that's insane. Well, I do, yeah. Well, thanks for the good feedback on the podcast and about the autocross car, the 400, the car that he is mentioning is the fastest car in the autocross championship, which is very similar to rallycross, just that they drive only on dirt. And I got to try his car before their semifinals when we had a Titans RX race in Estering, and it was like tricky conditions, and I knew he was on pole, and he just offered me to test this car in the lunch break. It was so cool. The car is so fast. I think it would probably be faster than a supercar. But I did
Well,
not
weight
drive it.
power ratio.
Yeah, but I did not drive it so well, because the last thing going down the hill is that I want is to like lock up and hit the wall or something before his semifinal. So I had plenty of margin on that lap to go faster, and I did not really get to explore the full potential of the car. It's like a cross kart on absolute steroids, and the cross karts are just so light and fast already, so they almost beat the supercars a lot of times.
And this
But
is
this one,
four-wheel drive, and the prop shaft going between your legs is crazy.
yeah. So Lousada is just coming up. It's Tuesday now that we record. We start driving this weekend. What have you been doing, Kevin, since last race?
First thing I did was
Test. Sorry.
last test. Yeah. Last race I've been doing a lot of things. That was 7 months ago. I mean, literally go home and just had a recovery day. Then I've been doing a heavy strength session. We'll do. Was planning to do one today, but I'm literally without car, so I can't move around. But I've done also 2 hit sessions on the bike, so really like doing for short, high intensity training, just to give a little bit of a peak hit performance now to the body before the race. Hydrating well. Just the small thing. It's gonna be 30 degrees. Did you see that on the race? It's gonna be absolutely boiling, and it's like the track is a little bit, in a hole almost like that, a little bit. So I think it's gonna be no breeze. It's gonna be boiling hot. So I think for getting well prepared, getting hydrated is going to be very key. But you have a good weekend with prep, and just physically and mentally everything is ready and set. So no, it's I think pretty much fully prepared, and I fly out tomorrow on my birthday. And then we're ready to go do some media on Thursday, and I saw we had a shakedown on Friday, which is quite nice.
Yeah, that's quite nice. Getting back in, and I think. Are you sure we are on track? Actually, are we on track?
It says shakedown Group 1 and Group 2, so I guess that's
But
for
I
us.
think that's for the cars who weren't at the test. But I might be
Okay,
wrong. They might have changed it.
okay. Well, it's been a good prep, so let's see if we can get a little bit more track time as well. What have you been up to? Did you go to go-kart race?
Yeah, I went to go kart race with Sam. Got home, had to rebuild his brakes because they needed some new parts, and then we went to the race during the weekend. It was a bit rainy there at the kart race, but no, it was good to do something different. Now, just kind of focusing on the race. We've been kind of talking together within the team to figure out and understand everything that we tested. So we had a big plan, and a lot of that is to understand and the data and understand how the new changes we're able to do, how they affect the car, and so on. So hopefully we are ready to kind of, we go out there on the first session and the car is under Siri, for example. Now if we understand how to set the car up, we know how to fix it. So it's been about understanding that. I've also been trying to. I struggled a lot on braking in the test. Like I couldn't brake properly. I felt like I had to brake really early in the corners and just didn't feel good. Um, it's hard to know if it's like car setup or if that's just the limit how fast you can go. I don't really
Mm,
know like where to begin. Should I just slow down and like just accept that it's not feeling good, or should we try and fix it with a car? I'm not sure.
mm,
But I've been trying to kind of look into ways that how I can drive around the issue that I had and carry a bit more speed, like in the middle instead. I always want to brake late. It's always my style, and when I attack hard, I brake later. But yeah, I couldn't really. So I need to. Maybe it's Lousada specific. Those braking zones are kind of turning very deep. Maybe that's linking to it. But
mm.
no, I think I understand what was going on, and I'm excited now to go back. Like I know what to
Yeah,
change, I know how to adapt, and I just want to get out on track
yeah. I
again
mean,
and feel the progress.
Our car with since we went electric, you always been struggling a bit more on braking because it's just been impossible to brake really late on the really limit because it's easy to lock up the rear or lift a bit the front, and it's hard to get that feedback. Maybe that is our car, struggling to give us that feedback on braking. I think with the changes we did, I mean, we could see I've always struggled to be very stable on brakes, and with the changes we made, I at least I think we gained some consistency, which was very good. I was finally able to get a little bit more of stability under braking, good, pressure curves and things that I have not been able to do in a long time. So I think maybe the car is slowly getting towards that. We were running a little bit different in the end with setups and stuff. So maybe when we put everything together for first practice, maybe it will just be fixed for you and it will be a much more enjoyable experience. But I think we're in a great place. And like you said, analyzing everything that was on the test, knowing where is our window? What changes should we do when, with what the new things we have learned? Um, and what do we then change at what times? It's just understanding our car as good as possible. 'Cause we haven't done much changes since last year. So it's just really a progress of doing those. What did we know last year with the new changes? What can that then enable us doing setup changes wise? And that's I think for the engineers really to understand. But I feel like we had a really good understanding on the test. Bit of time for analyzing everything will be perfect. Then we can really go and try and execute now on the race because that's in the end what it's about with this, which I think is important for us to remember too. We got to think back a little bit. What did we think about with the old formats back then when it was all about lap times? How was the strategy on overtaking? Things like that that's been different the last couple of years. We need to try and remember now what did we actually do couple of years ago with this format.
Yeah, exactly. It's back to the old new race format of 4 qualifying, semi and final, a single header weekend. You know, um, one issue. Something that a lot of people always blamed was the draw of Q1. That if you got a bad draw, kind of you were stuck on the outside if you got a bit unlucky. So that's going to be back again. But I think it kind of mixes up for the viewers. It mixes things up in a fun way. And at the end of the race, come the final, the best car and driver still won the race.
Mm,
Most of the time, whoever was there at the right time. So yeah, it's back to that, and I think it's a lot to understand in this first race, like who is fast, what are the strengths of the electrics versus the combustion. Also between the combustion engines, is Juha Ritkonen gonna like really challenge Johan for being the fastest internal combustion car as it in Turkey? It was like super fast in Turkey last year. And what can Patrick O'Donovan do? Yeah, he's the European champion. He's wild. He'll be fun to race with.
And also, like
Hopefully.
we don't. Hopefully, it might be absolute carnage. But like, also, we don't really know, as the testing was our first time on these new tires. We don't also know what they're going to be like after more than 4 laps, because we only did 4 laps at the time. So what's going to happen in the semi with 5 laps and then 6 laps in the final? Like, are they going to go completely off? What's going to happen? Like, many people in the past has always run, same tires in the semi as the final. Like, is that going to be possible? There's a lot of unknowns that we're going to have to find out when we get into the racing, and having this first experience again that we've not had with these tires and with this balance of performance. So many unknowns going into the first race, I would say, as well. That's just going to be trying to figure out as quickly as you can. Thank God it's a single other weekend, so there's a little bit of time to analyze between the runs, because otherwise it would have been carnage.
Yeah, it's a bit more quiet, so it's easier as a team to stay on top of things. In the doubleheader format, like throwing in an entire race one day and an entire race the next day, oh, it was full on the whole day. And by the end of Sunday, kind of really didn't understand what's been going on. I also really prefer when there is one winner in a weekend. Like who won in Lousada? It should be one person. It shouldn't be two.
Yeah, and also with the point system that there is now, which is actually different from back in the days, where all the points are given at the end of the weekend in the final results. And that's just going to be that if you win the race, you get the most points, and after the first day, you will lead the championship. There is no question. It's like, that's how it's going to be. So it's a very, high risk, high reward situation coming through the weekend. Like, you're in low risk in the beginning, probably because there's nothing to win. Like, everyone's going to go to the semi-final, so you just got to get through to the semi, to the final, and then in the finals where everything really ramps up. It's like a race. It's like a winner takes it all race. I just feel like there's going to be a few Stuart Room situations during the year for some people. I had plenty last year. I don't want any more. I've done my bit. It's your turn to go up there if anyone in the team. But it would be nice if, both of us get to the final each race. Then, we take out a third of the spots in the race. We can really, try and work together well, as much as we can. Then, at least if you're on the lone in there, you're scary.
Yeah. But it's also in Lousada, it's going to be a lot about having the inside, I think. We saw in testing that pulling off the outside move is going to be very hard there, because of the shape of the first corner is kind of long, even though it looks like on first sight, it looks like, wow, you can do an outside move here. But driving there, it will be hard.
It will be hard, yeah. And also, especially like the tire, you can't just send it in because it's not made to go sideways the same as the Cooper used to be. It's made to go quite much straighter. So, like, to just do a full send in, maybe you can and floor it and it's going to be full of smoke, but also there's a wall that's very, very solid just next to it. So it's if you want to go for it, you gotta really take a big risk.
Yeah, a big risk. And yeah, that wall is really intimidating because like 3 meters tall, 2 meters tall.
Yeah.
It's like a bigger wall, so it
from.
feels harder. And the spectators are all going to be up there, so they're on prime position to see whatever's going on in that first corner. It's going to be very exciting. Can't wait to go back racing.
No, it's going to be fantastic. And you just get everyone back in the race team, go to a race again. Like, really, I love being in the headspace of a race. Like, I feel the most happy I think ever when I'm in that flow mindset, because I just know exactly what I want to do during a race weekend that works for me. And I just like being in that comfort, still under that pressure, but in that comfort, which is nice. So yeah, it's I think it's time to go racing.
It is. Thank you for listening to another episode. And next time we're back, we're gonna have like an even more interesting episode, probably looking back at what happened in the race. And that's what we've been looking forward to in this podcast. like really giving you all the angles of all the racing and what was
Yeah,
going on during the weekend. Don't miss next week's episode. But first up, and also don't miss to watch the race live on YouTube this
exactly.
weekend.
All free on YouTube. Follow the Hansen channels and our channels for all the latest stuff. And we catch you guys after race week with hopefully a Hansen brother leading the World Championship.